Shalom.
Shalom.
This is Waco Israel Ministries. We do thank and praise the Most High for this Wednesday evening opportunity to be on in front of you with a lesson.
Turn that light on behind me. I'm blurred out here. Thank you. Go ahead, Josh.
Where we think we will be able to shed some light on some very controversial issues. The name of the lesson tonight is Christ versus Paul, because there seems to be people, a lot of pastors who would, when they
take the word over Paul instead of take it over Christ,
when they would seem to try to pit Christ verse or Paul against Christ in the issue when it comes to keeping, following the law. Okay. Hold on. So, I want to go through some precepts and try to show you how to connect and how the two most important teachers in the Bible actually completely agree on the subject of whether or not we should keep the law.
Good.
And how to explain hard to explain passages when it comes to the Apostle Paul and the way he wrote in his letters. Now, before we go into, when we read like the book of Romans, the book of 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Timothy, 1st and 2nd Timothy, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, Colossians, Ephesians, Galatians, those letters were not written to the congregation. They were written to the elders who Paul
set over,
who Paul individually chose and taught himself.
That's right.
So he wasn't writing to the person in the pew. He was writing to the people he set up to run the churches, on how his churches ought to be set up.
Right. He said pastors, deacons, elders.
So that's who.
But he taught them, and then they would carry out the teaching, to the congregation.
That's who he put. That's who he wrote to. He wrote to his pastors, his deacons, his elders, and his bishops. To
Go ahead, George.
So they would know how to. People don't understand. Like Paul didn't have to explain what he was saying in his letters too much, because the people he was writing to understood the doctrine already, because Paul sat down and taught his elders how to teach.
All right.
So he wasn't dealing with an unlearned individual when he was writing his letters to the churches, to the assemblies. He was dealing with people who understood the doctrine.
Correct.
Okay?
That's good, Josh. Good.
So let's start with Hebrews chapter 5, verse 12.
Hebrews 5:12. I got that ripped, but I can probably. Can I see it? Yeah, I got 11. Mine's ripped a little bit. I think.
Ladies.
Yeah, hold on. Let's see how many chapters, how many verses he wants to read. I can read the next page over again if he goes there. Yeah. I'm gonna get a new Bible, and no one's touching it.
Wait, was it?
No, you can read it, but we got to be really careful because these apocryphers, Mary, with these King James apocryphers, they're gonna stop. They're gonna stop issuing them. They don't want us to have the truth. Yeah, Mary, 5:12.
5 and 12, Mom.
Go ahead, Mary.
For when was the time ye ought to be teachers? Ye have need that one teach.
Stop. So
If you are called to be a teacher,
the writer of the book of Hebrews, who many believe to be the Apostle Paul, Saul.
that's right.
Well, and again, we can't prove that because there's no author's name on the book of Hebrews. But based on, we personally believe that the writing style is that of Paul. So many people want to be teachers, but the problem is too many people don't want to be taught. So you have to, if you really want to teach this Bible correctly, you have to be taught again.
That's right.
That means, when it says to be taught again, that means you have to drop everything you've learned in mainstream religion and really learn this book again.
Come on. Go ahead, Mary.
Again, which be the first principle.
The first principles. And what is the first
the
principles? The oracles of the Most High.
Exactly.
Was
and are
become
such
as have been need of milk.
and a stop and of not of meat. So that's the problem with people. People want to go into the meat
and
when they don't understand the milk.
That's right.
And they not only they choke themselves, they choke the people listening to them.
Yeah.
So you can't deal with the milk, the meat of the word, unless you understand the milk. Basically, if you understand the basic doctrine, once you understand the basic doctrine, the meat becomes like milk, because then you can digest and understand the concepts. Remember, when you read a chapter or when you read the Bible, when you read a chapter in the Bible, there's an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. Right? So
right.
Let's go to the book of 2 Peter 3, 15 and 16.
I'll read that, Mary. Yeah, I'll read. 2 Peter. This is one of my favorite books because.
Now, remind you, this is the Peter. This is the man who who saw Christ ascend into heaven.
By 2 Peter 3, 15 and 16. Okay. Are we ready? An account that the long suffering of our Yashayah is salvation, is she? Even as our beloved brother Paul also, according to the wisdom given unto him, hath written unto you, as also in all his epistles, speaking in them of those things in which are some things hard to be understood.
So a lot of the letters of Paul.
Now, this is Peter talking.
A lot of the letters of Paul are very heavy meat. And you can't deal with meat unless you understand the milk of the word first. You can't just hop into the meat because you'll choke yourself.
Right. That's right there, Josh.
So
okay.
Which
they that are learned, unlearned, and unstable, rest, twist, don't know, as they do also the other scriptures unto their own destruction.
So
now let me say something. Now watch. What Josh is saying is true. If you're in a pastor, you're under a pastor. Let's say you're in a Christian church and you're under a pastor. And you know for a fact that this pastor is twisting words and making a story up like they do. You know, they don't hold the Bible in the hand, right, Tony? They philosophize. Be careful with that. They'll destroy you. Because what Josh said is right. How can they give you the meat when you don't even know the milk?
So we're going to just line some things up right fast and show you, did Christ and Paul agree when it comes to the law?
Yeah, brother.
Let's go to the book of Luke 24:44.
24. I got it. I'll read it. Yeah. 24. You said what? 44? Huh?
24, 44.
Okay. All right. We're in the book of Luke 24:44. Everybody have it? Josh, I got to wait for you, right?
I got it.
You got it, Josh? Ready? And he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you.
So this is the doctrine that I spoke.
Come on.
Or this is my teaching.
While I was yet with you.
Read.
That all things must be fulfilled.
Fulfilled meaning to be taught to its fullest understanding.
That's right. Which were written in the law of Moses.
So his first doctrinal doctrine or base of doctrine was the law. Read.
No, it's done away with. And in the prophets.
And in the what?
The prophets.
That was his second.
Come on.
Doctrine. Read.
And in the Psalms.
And the Psalms, which were like the Song of Solomon, Psalms,
right.
Ecclesiastes, those are considered poetic poetry.
Concerning me. Now, in these few lines that I just read, where Josh is bringing this message, where have you heard that he was a Christian and that he taught Christianity?
So the precept to this, let's go to Acts.
Wait, you want to finish? Oh, you don't want to finish.
Acts 24:13.
Right. Acts 24:13. So you can't prove it in the word that Paul, Peter, any of the disciples taught Christianity. They did not. Just because you were brainwashed into thinking that this religion was a twist, that they made their own doctrines up in the Bible. And that's what they done.
24, start with verse 13.
All right. Acts chapter 24, verse 13.
Right here.
Ready? Neither can, is that right? Neither can they prove the things whereof they now accuse me. But this I confess, his lifestyle.
So this is his doctrine and his lifestyle and his doctrine.
Unto them that after the way which they call heresy.
So they were calling Paul a heretic, not because he was keeping the law, that they didn't accept that Christ was the Messiah. That was their major disagreement with the apostle. Read.
I say, so worship I the power of my fathers.
Read.
Believing all things.
Not believing.
Believing all things.
Forgetting all things.
Believing.
We're under grace. Believing all things.
Which are written in
the what?
The law.
The what?
No, Christianity.
The what?
Christianity.
The what?
Law.
The what?
The law. And
the,
in the prophets, here we go, matching up with Christ.
read.
And have hope toward the Most High.
So keeping the law and following gives you hope towards the Most High,
That's
which
right.
they also do allow, which there will be a resurrection of the dead,
I hope someone's listening.
both of the just and the unjust.
When I say listen, I hope you're understanding
Now-
and listening, learning something. Especially if you're new Christians listening, you better plug in. Because we're reading the word to you. But it seems to me, Tony, the word's not good enough for them, a lot of them. And it's not their fault, it's those pastors.
So far, the apostle and Christ agreed. They taught the law and the prophets. Let's go to Acts.
Let every word be established.
By 2 or 3 witnesses.
Okay.
Let's go to the book of Luke 4:16.
Luke 4:16. Good chapter. Luke 4:16.
At Luke.
Wait a minute. Mary, you have it?
Verse
15 or 16? Or you want to start at 15?
15.
All right. Luke 4:15, Mary.
And he taught in their synagogues, being glorified of all.
No, he taught on Sunday in the church.
In their synagogues.
Being glorified of all.
Go ahead.
And he came to Nazareth.
And he came to Nazareth, read.
Where he had been brought up.
Read.
As his custom was.
Stop.
As his what?
Custom was.
What
As
customs?
his what?
His custom was.
What was the
Now
custom?
the custom you read in Leviticus 23. And
precept
20 Exodus 20 verse 8.
Was he,
Wait.
Read.
He went into the synagogue on the Sabbath.
No,
On the what?
No, he didn't. He went on Sunday.
Day,
On Sunday.
on the Sabbath day.
On Sunday.
On the Sabbath day.
And what?
And stood up for to teach.
To read.
And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Isaiah.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. The Old Testament's done away with.
That's a typo.
That's a typo.
Uh,
Yeah, we're not making light. We're telling you, hope you're listening.
Mark
I hope
1:20.
there's some Christians that are really paying attention here tonight. Where are we going, Josh?
Mark 1:20.
Mark 1:20. I'll read this here. I got this. Mark 1:20. Okay. Mark
So
1.
the Sabbath was not only a day of rest, but it's the day where you were supposed to come and worship or be taught the truth, the word. Read.
And straightway he called them, and they left their you said Mark, right? 1:20, right?
Uh-huh.
Am I right?
Read.
And straightway he called them, and they left their father Zebedee in the ship with the hired servants and went after him.
Read.
Wow. And they went into Capernaum, and straightway on the Sabbath day.
On Sunday.
Sabbath day.
On the Sunday.
Sabbath day, Saturday, 7th day, he entered into the
Synagogue.
Christian church, the synagogue,
The assembly, and what?
and taught.
So again, the Sabbath day was when you are to receive the teaching of the word according to the Bible.
See, Christianity pastors
Now,
will not bring these scriptures to you.
Let's see if after Christ died it changed.
Come on. Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
Acts 13:13.
Come on. Break it down, Josh. That's what, Josh?
Actually,
13.
I'm going to stir up a little controversy here.
Hold on. 13 what, Josh?
13.
Read 13 and 1, then 13.
All right. Okay. Now, there was in the...
So,
We'll find
that's
it.
2 witnesses already.
Okay.
in Luke and Matthew, Luke and Mark, Christ appears
Come on.
that he didn't go to church on Sunday. Seems to be a contradiction.
Yeah, there's something wrong here.
And he didn't and if
Any
you're
man
if
taken
people
out,
if,
anybody adding?
if
Watch out.
people still want to use that old, the first day of the week that he rose,
Yeah, we got that broken down too.
that doesn't mean that he rose on Sunday.
That's right.
That first day of the week is a misunderstood phrase.
That's a Sabbaton. That's 7 days.
Absolutely. Read Acts 13:1.
Now, there were in the church or in the meeting place, that word was put in there by Rome too, that was at Antioch, certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger, or they in the South they say nigger. And
Stop.
Okay.
So let's, if there's not enough controversy already here, let's see that we're called Niger. Let's break that down.
Yeah, Josh. Give it to them.
What were the first apostles?
Give it to the unlearned, Josh. They need to learn. Barnabas. Well, Barabbas. Sorry. Oh no, Barnabas. It is Barnabas, right? Not Barabbas. Barnabas. And Simeon, or Simon, that was called Niger. And Lucarus of Tyre, or Cyrene, yeah.
So Niger is Strong's Greek 3526, and it means black, Christian. So again, these were
they were all white
Europeans. The apostles were all black.
That's right.
They were Negroes from the
Prove
tribe of
over
Judah.
and over and over and over again. Because there was a whitening in these nations centuries ago.
They're from the tribe of Judah.
That's right.
Again, the tribe of Judah, the Negro tribe.
Oh, it don't matter, brother.
Acts 13:13.
13:13. Now, when Paul and his company loosed from Paphos, they came to Perga in Pamphylia, and John, departing from them, returned to Jerusalem. But when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch in Pisidia, and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day.
On the what?
On the Sabbath day.
What day?
Sabbath day, Saturday, and sat down.
So Christ kept the Sabbath?
No, they ran around.
And Paul kept the Sabbath.
And banged their heads on the stools. They sat down. And after the reading of the law.
Of the what?
And the reading of the law. And after the reading of the law and the prophets.
There's the doctrine again.
Come on. The rulers of the synagogue sent unto them, saying.
Stop. So far there's no disagreements.
No.
They were teaching the law and the prophets.
And what did Paul say, guys? Have the same what?
Mind.
And same what? Judgment and the same spirit.
Now let's go to the book of. Now realize I haven't even touched the Old Testament. I'm just touching the New Testament.
Yeah.
So far, it doesn't look like your doctrine, what your pastor says is in the New Testament.
That's right.
Okay, so let's go to John 1, John 2, verse Verse.
Let me read that. Just like that. Fix my notes. I'll be right there. Okay.
23. 2 and 23.
John
2:23. The book of John. 2:23.
Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover in the feast day.
On the what?
Feast day.
On the Passover.
Passover.
No, Christmas.
No, they don't celebrate that no more.
At the Passover.
At the what?
The Passover.
Uh-huh.
And the feast day.
Mm-hmm.
Stop. So Christ kept the feast days.
Stop.
That it?
Right?
No, wait. That's anyway. Wait.
Right?
Yeah. All right. So I see a problem, Tony, don't you?
Yeah.
You ever wonder why you don't hear these scriptures in their churches, Tony? Because they love Constantine, Anthony. They love lies. And you know what? The Most High has sent them strong delusion that they should believe lies. All right? And not the truth. That they live in unrighteousness instead of righteousness. They're following the way of Balaam for gain. And basically. You know how many disheartened Christians are in churches? You wouldn't believe it. Millions. I've been told they're going to get rich if they tie, all kinds of lies.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Luke 22. Yes, I forgot what. Hold on.
Anybody
Hold
takes
on,
out a
everybody.
word and the answer is going to be added to plagues that are in the Bible. Check. And they can say no.
Luke 22:1.
I got this, man. Luke 22:1. Luke 22:1. All right. The book of Luke, chapter 22 and verse 1. So just everybody have it?
Read.
Mary? Now, the feast,
The what?
the feast
Read.
of unleavened bread drew nigh.
Uh-huh.
Now, what's the unleavened bread, John? Tell them. Which is called the Passover.
The what?
The Passover, not Easter. Easter is a pagan religion word that was put in the Bible so you would follow paganism on his resurrection Sunday.
Uh-huh. So they kept, the apostles in Christ kept the Passover or the feast days or the holy days.
Come on.
Okay. So let's go to Acts. Let's see if the apostles after Christ changed it to Sunday.
Yeah, let's see.
Or changed it to Easter.
Let's go by the word.
Acts 2 verse 1.
Acts 2 verse 1. And we're going to bring another message on this lying gift of tongues that these people are talking in the church. There's no such thing as tongues, and there's no more apostles. Apostate, yeah. You guys are apostate. That was all done away with in Paul's time.
Uh-huh.
And we can prove it through the word. Acts 2, where, Josh, from the beginning?
On top.
All right. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place.
Stop. So where is the day of Pentecost? That's not Pentecostalism.
Come on.
The day of Pentecost is a feast day spoken of in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter.
That's right.
Okay? And these are other places in the New Testament where you can find them. So, go to 1 Corinthians 5 and 7.
1 Corinthians 5, 7.
This is 2 Corinthians 5.
1 Corinthians 5, 7.
Hold on. Let me get there first.
Yeah, I got it underlined anyway. Don't worry about it.
1 Corinthians 5 and
7. I like this, Josh. This is good. Yep. Somebody's lying, Tony.
Yeah.
I know it ain't us because we're reading the word. The word can't lie, can it?
No.
Mm-hmm. But there's a twist in
Verse
that Christianity's teaching, isn't there? Ready?
So we went from the Sabbath, we went from the doctrine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Paul and Christ taught the law and the prophets. Remember, there was no New Testament during the time of Christ and Paul. So they taught the law, the prophets, and the Psalms, which is the Old Testament.
That's right.
Okay?
Come on. Matthew, Mark.
They agree on the Sabbath. They kept the Sabbath.
That's right.
Right?
Come on.
They did not follow Sunday worship. Sunday worship did not come until the Roman Catholic Church.
Constantine.
Okay? Now, we're going to see if they agree on the feast days.
I want to say this real quick. If you're in a Christian church and you went to seminaries, you have learned the doctrines of Constantine. You have not learned the doctrines of our forefathers, what we're reading. Okay, 1 Corinthians what? 5, 7. Ready? Purge out, therefore, the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump.
Now, when that says purge out the old leaven, it's talking about following the truth under Christ, under the Spirit of Christ, not under Moses. Now, not saying not to keep the law, but what spirit are you under? Read.
Come on. As ye are unleavened, okay? For even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Just because he was this Passover lamb, it doesn't mean they stopped keeping the Passover. Therefore, let us keep the feast.
Let us what?
Let us do away with the feast.
Let us forget that. So Christ is the fulfillment
of the Passover.
Meaning,
so you keep it.
Meaning that you keep it.
That's right.
Even stricter now.
That's right.
Since he's the fulfillment of it.
Come on. Neither a feast. Not.
So therefore,
I see.
Let us keep the feasts.
Not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity. Wow. Look at that word truth. Now we can go to the word truth and you'd be surprised what truth means. Truth means keeping the law. Christ says, I am the way, the what? The truth and the life. I'm the way. Prophets, right? Psalms, Moses, the law. Truth, that's the truth. After that, you have life.
So, and I'll give you an example of how. Let's go to Romans chapter 7.
Romans chapter 7. Okay.
So we understand, so far, Christ and Paul agree completely. You have to keep the Sabbath, the law, and the feast days. Okay, so that's clear.
Yeah.
That's no argument.
Romans 7.
Now this is where we get into the meat, where we have to break it down to where people can understand. Read 7:1.
All right, Romans 7:1. Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law hath dominion over a man as long as he liveth. For the woman which hath a husband is bound by the law to her husband.
Stop. Now, how are people married? There's a question.
Come on.
What and I just seen this when I thinking about this today. How do you cut a covenant? What do you have to spill? You have to spill blood or exchange fluid.
Come on.
A man and woman are not married. Sex is what marriage is. Okay, sex equals marriage. So when you cut a covenant, you have to spill a fluid.
Come on.
Well, let's prove that. So what law is this referring to? Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 24, verse 8.
Exodus 24:8. Now let's give the precept to that. Exodus 24, verse 8. Now let's see what law the Most High is talking about.
You can read verse 6 to 8.
6 through 8.
24:6
through 8.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. All right, you ready, everybody? And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altars.
So Moses killed an animal, and he collected the blood, and he put it in separate vessels. Read.
And he took the book of the covenant, the promise, and read in the audience of the people.
Read.
And they said, all that the Most High said will we do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood.
He did what?
He took the blood.
So in Romans, now remind you, when we talking about marriage or the picture of sex, sex is what marries, or the exchanging of fluid is what marriage is in the Bible. Because when a man sleeps with a woman, she's supposed to bleed.
Come on.
Which makes it a righteous
That's right.
exchange because she was pure.
That's right. And said, behold, the blood of the covenant.
Behold the blood, the what?
Look at that. The blood of the covenant, which the Most High hath made with you concerning all these words.
So when Paul referred to the law, he was referring to the laws of the ceremony of sacrifice.
That's right.
And once you understand marriage biblically and how a marriage is really entered into, you'll understand
So
that.
get the thunder, man. Please. Now you're going to get the marriage, Josh. I'll read it when you get a chance. Get it. Now, this is one of the greatest Bible dictionaries in the world. Although it's a Jewish man that that wrote it, but there's a lot of truth in it. We don't agree with everything, a lot that's in there, but
so
with a lot we do.
This is Romans I'll read the definition of marriage first, and we'll go back to Romans 7.
There you go. Now listen to what marriage really means.
Marriage.
That's why there's so much divorce in the Christian church. Now listen. Of course, a man's supposed to take care of a woman, but that's not what marriage is. It's not only what marriage means.
Marriage is an intimate personal union which a man and a woman consent, consent and consummated and continually nourished by sexual intercourse.
No, once every 3 months.
Sexual intercourse.
Continually.
So that's why I said before we went into Romans, when we started reading Romans, when you understand the definition of what the Israelites viewed marriage as entered into, you'll understand the principle of what Paul is saying. So when a man and woman slept together, the sheet would be laid under her, and a covenant would be cut when she bled on the sheet. So
that would tell that the woman
is pure. The principle of this is Paul is analogizing the sacrificial system and the marriage union, and saying if let's read it actually. Let's Romans 7 verse 2.
All right, Romans 7:2. For the woman which hath a husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth.
So when a man lays with a woman and they cut the covenant, they are married.
Don't take no priest, no rabbi, nobody. But if the husband be dead, she's loose from the law of her husband.
If the man who cut her bloodline, made her bleed, dies, she is loosed from that blood covenant.
Come on.
So in other words, Moses is dead, so we are not under the spirit of Moses anymore. We are under Christ's spirit. Read.
Watch this. So then if, while her husband liveth, she be married to another man.
So if you're trying to, keep the law without Christ, you're trying to marry Moses when Christ is the superior to Moses. Read.
Come on. She be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress.
Read.
But if her husband be dead, she is free from the law. She can get married again. So that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man.
Right. So that's clear? Is that clear?
Now, Josh, honestly, what is the Christian church doing? They're inviting all these widows in the church, and they're marrying them, and their husbands are alive. Or not widows, you know what I mean? Divorcees. They come in divorce, right, Tony? And they marry. Not all churches, but most are doing it. Most are doing it. Paul says if you're married, don't look to be loose, right? If you're loose, don't look to be married. I tell you this because of your hurt.
So again, remember when we read?
No.
Remember when we read in the law in Hebrews 5 about the milk and the meat? When you are taught the meat of the word, like how to go through precept on precept, you can be taken to certain scriptures like this, which are really actually easy to understand, and really have someone twist it to you because you don't understand how to break it down systematically where you can understand it. So, got two more things I want to tell you. Let's go to the book of 2 Corinthians 3. And we'll close with
2 Corinthians 3. I got this.
read for the first 2 verses.
Okay.
Or 3 verses.
Everybody have it? 2 Corinthians chapter 3, the first 2 verses.
First
All right.
3 verses.
First 3, I'm sorry. Do we begin again to commend ourselves, or need we, as some others, epistles of recommendation to you, or letters of recommendation from you?
Read.
Ye are our epistle, written in our spirit, known and read of all men.
So how do men read you? By the way you live.
That's right.
So your conversation is not only your vocal conversation, it's your lifestyle.
What did Paul say before we read his what? His testimony, his witness, the way he lived?
Read.
All right. For as much as we are manifestly declared to be the epistle of Christ, manifested by us, written not with ink, but with the spirit of the living power.
So now the law is written within on our mind, right?
That's right.
So that means now we're under
Romans
a
8.
stricter obedience to the law.
That's right. Hebrews 8, right?
Than they were under Moses.
That's right. Okay. What?
Not in tablet.
Get Mary.
Not in tablet of stone,
Uh-huh.
but in fleshly tablets.
Go
Of
to
the
verse
spirit.
Go to verse 8.
Verse 8. Okay. Ready? How shall not the manifestation of the Spirit be rather glorious? For if the ministration of condemnation be glory, much more doth the ministration of righteousness exceed in glory.
So, in other words, the spirit that Moses had, or under the law, was inferior to the spirit of Christ.
Come on.
Now, it's still the same law, but you got to follow it under Christ, which is stricter than Moses. Because Moses didn't die for nobody's sin. Read.
For even that which was made glorious had no glory in this respect, by reason of the glory that excelleth. For if that which is done away was glorious, much more that which remaineth is glorious.
So Christ remains, and Moses, or the way you did under Moses, is done away with.
Okay.
Not what Moses gave is done away with, but the spirit that you followed under Moses is done away with.
That's right.
Read.
Seeing then that we have such hope,
read.
We use great plainness of speech.
Read.
It's simple, isn't it, Josh?
Read.
And not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the children of Israel could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished.
Read.
But their minds were blinded, for until this day remaineth the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament.
So when you don't understand,
come on, this is deep,
that Christ is the new covenant or the new agreement
of the law,
right? You will be stuck spiritually under Moses.
That's right.
Which is a failing spirit,
right?
Because Moses is dead.
Which veil is done away in Christ. But even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their head. Their spirit.
So when people read the Old Testament today, they don't understand how to apply the law under Christ because they're not taught to.
Come on. Yeah, that's right.
Stop.
That's good, Josh. That's real good.
One more thing.
All right.
Then we'll close.
That's good, man.
Let's go to Galatians. Galatians.
Should be right after Corinthians. Yeah. Galatians what, Josh? Not 3, right? 2.
Um,
3 something.
Galatians chapter 4,
Okay.
8 through 10.
Okay. Galatians
11. 8 through 11.
8 through 11. Galatians 4, 8 through 11. Howbeit then, when ye knew not the Most High, ye did service unto them which by nature are no gods.
So people will take you to the scripture. See, Paul said, you know, we're not under the law based on what we're going to read. But what they don't do is they don't read from the top. Again, every idea has a beginning, a body, and a conclusion. So the beginning of this is when we're not under the Most High or following His law, statutes, and commandments, but we have the Bible. We are going to be taught to follow other things or customs that are under other gods or fallen angels. Read Genesis chapter 6 for the understanding of. So basically what happened was in Genesis chapter 6, men were beginning to multiply. Angels fell, came down in human bodies, raped women, had children by them, and the children became giants or gods. And the giants taught men all kinds of form of technology, and based on that, the men began to worship the spirit, the giants, and the fallen angels. So that's what Paul is talking about. How that before we knew God, we did reverence to those which are no gods.
That's right.
So all those things is where we get idolatry and mythology from. All the mythologies we hear about, like Greek mythology, Roman mythology, is not mythology, it's real. That stuff actually really happened.
That's right.
Read.
But now, after that we have known the Most High, or rather, are known of the Most High.
That we follow the Most High and keep His law, statutes,
now
and
that
commandments.
we know better, supposedly, how turn ye again to the weak and burglarly elements?
So why are you going back and following things under these fallen angels?
Whereunto ye desire again to be in bondage?
Bondage to the worldly customs.
Come on, Josh. Ye observe days and months.
People will say, see, you observe the Sabbath. You observe. No, that's not what this is talking about.
Saying.
You observe days and months and years.
You're doing that, Christian, with Christmas and all.
Under these gods that are no gods.
Come on.
Right?
That's right.
Remember, you have to keep it in the context of the idea that Paul is bringing out.
That's right.
He's right.
Come on.
So you observe days. What days do these gods have? Halloween, Christmas, Easter, New Year's Eve, Thanksgiving,
Murder Day.
Okay, so these are the days. Sunday worship. Read. Pagan New Year's.
335 instead of 334 and leap year. I am afraid of you. I'd be afraid of you too.
So, because you're going off from what you were taught originally.
That's right.
Lest I have bestowed upon you labor in vain.
And Paul did not do that. Nothing that he taught was in vain. Nothing.
I'll read this.
All right, Josh.
1 John 5.
Want me closer?
1 John 5.
Hold on.
2 and 3.
Wait a minute.
1 John.
2. 1 John 2 and 3. Okay.
1 John 5, 2 and 3.
Oh, 5. I got it there. 5, 2 and 3. I'll read this. Whosoever believeth.
Wait.
Oh, okay. Wait, where's Tony? Oh, Tony went to okay. The first verse. This is good. This is real good. Right from the beginning. Whosoever believeth that Yashayah is the Christ, is born of the Most High. And everyone that loveth him, that begot, loveth him also that is begotten of him. But this we know.
But this we what?
But this we doubt.
But this we know. Read.
That we love the children of the Most High when we love the Most High and keep his Sunday church.
Keep his religion. Keep his what?
Commandments.
Keep his what?
Commandments.
Keep his commandments. Read.
For this is the love of the Most High.
So this is, you know how people say, you know, you love God or you love, you love the Most High.
I'm sick and tired.
This is the love of God. Read.
It's that bully people pulling that. That we keep the commandments, and his commandments are not grievous.
Stop. So his commandments are not hard.
That's right.
Once you understand that you are accountable to keep them and you start following them.
Come on. You gonna hear a little clip, Joshua?
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna listen to a little clip, something that we like to bless you with, because the more we learn, the more we're rooted and grounded in His truth.
The original people that took over the land, when David slew Goliath, and who do you think he was warring against? He was warring with Canaanites. Okay. To where it was affixed among the Romans down to the time of Constantine the Great. So they kept this all through the Greeks and everything. Okay? But it was for the slave. Oh, the slave. Oh, okay, now we're getting somewhere, right? The robbers, the thief that was on the cross, you see that? And it goes on, you know. People that did insurrections, meaning slave riots, like in America, right? Okay? But it said upright, peaceable men also. So they was also hanging peaceable men. And even Roman citizens themselves. So basically, it was a, what's the word I want to use? It was the death chair. You know, she should knight with the death row medallion on. Y'all walking around with a cross on. I don't have a cross on, I have an X. You know what I'm saying? This X is unknown. This is the X arrow. I'm trying to find out who we are. What is the real truth? What is the unknown? You walk around with a cross, you're walking around pushing the death on your chain or on your person. I know. I have tattoos. I have tattoos of the cross. I didn't know what it was back then. But you know better, you're supposed to do better. But you can see, and it shows exhaustive concordance. It also says a polar issue is capital punishment. So you see here now, you know, critical thinking. You see all these Illuminati puppet celebrities wearing this stuff. They openly show, sometimes on a subliminal level, but nonetheless, show that they worship Satan. A question to you is like, why would you think that
people don't know
wearing the cross? What threw me off was years and years and years ago, I haven't watched pornography in years. I did a lesson on the Reprobate Society 3. But what I found was that what threw me off, one day I was watching, I was way, like I said, years and years ago, that the porno stars were wearing crosses, man. So look here. Big Sean on an ass remix. Yes, ass. He got a song where he just say ass in the chorus. Got a cross on. See him again here. See David Beckham. See Iggy. Look, Google some of their lyrics. Okay, I know people might speculate on what they say and what they do. Just Google some of their lyrics. Watch some of their videos, but look at the lyrics first. Kendrick Lamar, yes, he's conscious. Yes, he dropped jewels, but hey, man, come on, man. And wearing the cross, man. You know who he's signed to? The same label as Eminem. You know what Eminem was on. Lady Gaga. She got the Catholic wear on. Marilyn Manson. See him again here. See Offset, Uzi Vert. The dude calls up Lil Uzi Vert, Lil Lucifer. That's what his name is named after. See the Weeknd. See the KKK, they rocking the cross. Beyonce. You see her here in this video shoot. Look at these lyrics, man. She's wearing the cross, y'all. Talking about Jesus can say yes, nobody can say no. What Jesus you talking about? Caesar Bojan, I'm sure. Jay-Z, he got a Jesus Christ chain. Then he got a shirt where he got the Messiah, the quote-unquote Messiah, burning in fire. See, he got Antichrist rhetoric. Why don't they ever attack Buddha? Why don't you ever hear any of this and that going in on Krishna? You see that false Christ video I did? You have to please go check it out on your own time. Why don't they ever go in on any of Ra? They don't go in on none of the other Christ, Krishna, Vishnu, but they go in on the Christ of the Bible, or how he's presented, I should say, right? See the false guy here with Kanye, and it's funny, I had him lined up in this presentation before he said what he said. You see, he's mocking the Bible. He came out with Jesus walks, remember? But he's mocking him. He's trying to become the Messiah. Then be many false Christ. That's what the scriptures say. False God. Talking about he is a God. Or were you a God when you was holding pork chops for them brothers in the van? I think it's not. Cat Williams, you see him here? He got a cross. See more crosses. You see a collage of celebrities wearing a cross. Many celebrities. Different forms of crosses. You got the Nana Ak statue. That's also Ak is just a cross in cursive. The taboo statue. You see the cross versus the bead. That's the difference between the cross and the bead. All right. So that's what they present to you. So when the Messiah was dealing with the Syrophoenician woman, okay, that was a woman that was, again, from that lineage of the Phoenicians, the Canaanites that were there before the Israelites came to the land, okay? So you see here, she was part of the Carthaginians. So it says here, you see the definition relating to the ancient African city of Carthage. Okay, the cross T symbol actually belongs to Tammuz, an ancient deity whose name means concealed, y'all. Okay? Around John Briggs, proper name of a divinity, Tammuz, Babylon, Duzu, also Dumuzi, the virgin birth deity of Ishtar, aka Semiramis, 4000 BC. Tammuz, you see here, the 10th month of the Jewish calendar. It says Sumerian and Babylonian shepherd god, originally of Iraq. See a shepherd god? See, he's a good shepherd, which the Messiah is, and then they try to, because Tammuz is way older than the Messiah's time on earth. Okay? So again, they mix paganism with it. You gotta eat the meat out the bone, man. You know what I'm saying? So the Akbar is substituted for his consort, Inanna or Ishtar. Ishtar is where Easter comes from. It's Easter egg. I went over that. So watch my video on holidays. So let's move along. Section 4, the Messiah in the Old Testament. People act like he just came and did his own thing.
Everybody loves him. Yeah, what happened to
Psalm 110 and 1? The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand till I make thine enemies thy footstool. So who is the Lord's Lord? This is David right here.
They listen, but
so David's not the Messiah, the Lord talking to another Lord. Who's that other Lord? Isaiah 44:6. Thus saith the Most High, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. I am the first, I am the last, and beside me there is no God. Yashayah, the Messiah, never said he's God, ever. Said he's of him, but he never claimed to be him. Jeremiah chapter 31, 31 to 33. Behold, the days come, saith the Most High, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break. So that old covenant was broken. Isaiah 24 5 is the same thing. More scripture. Although I was a husband unto them, saith Ahayah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith Ahayah. I will put my law in their inward parts. Put his what? His law in their inward parts, and write it on their hearts. And will be their God, they shall be my people. This is the new covenant. I'm just speaking on it. Jeremiah 33:14-17. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will perform that good thing which I have promised to the house of Israel and to the house of Judah. In those days and at that time, I will cause the branch of righteousness to grow up unto David. So he's of David, right? Okay. And he shall execute judgment and righteousness in the land. In those days shall Judah be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely. And this is the name wherewith she shall be called, the Lord our righteousness.
Why is it
safely?
Because it's not the Hebrews there.
For thus saith the Most High, David shall never.
You just heard a church, folks.
Sit on the throne of
people
the
in
house
Israel,
of
not the Hebrews. They're not
this not so the Messiah is not David.
Jeremiah just said, I told you, they'll dwell safe.
7:12. And when thy day be fulfilled, and thou shalt see with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. 2 Samuel was written in the days of David. Seed refers to your descendant. My son is my seed. My daughters, those are my seeds. Your children, those are your seeds. Especially for you men, because we generate the seed. The sperm is the seed. That's sperm. Psalm 89:4. I have made a covenant with my chosen, not with the world, with his chosen. I have sworn unto David my servant, thy seed will I establish forever and build up thy throne to all generations. Salah. So again, same thing. 2 Samuel 5:4. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. So the most I'm talking about a kingdom that's not going to end. But David's kingdom ended in 40 years. Okay, let's get it. Exodus 23:20-21. Behold, I shall send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. This is the Messiah before his time on earth was sent as a what? As an angel. Let's keep reading. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your.
What's that noise? Oh, you closed already, Josh?
Shalom.
Okay.
So
Need these feathers here.
we hope. So I think that's very clear. The way understand these concepts of how to break it down, how to go through these breakdowns and really just understand. It's not really that difficult. We must, again, when you read a chapter, especially like when you read something in the New Testament, every letter or every chapter is like in a book. It has a concept, a introduction, a body, and a conclusion. So
That's fine.
what and how when you break the Bible down, you go by precept by precept. You can't merely break a scripture down
Just by reading it.
by reading it.
That's it. You need people hanging.
You have to really break it down.
You have to find it in the other part of the Bible and you break it down. That's how you get understanding. Through precepts.
Shalom.
Shalom.